Hello everybody and welcome to another great edition of Slammin Saturday Night. I'm your host Jamin John, also known as Stewie Family right here on YouTube. Got a lot to cover in this week's edition of Slammin Saturday Night. As you know, I did not do an episode last Saturday. Decided to take that week off. But I'm doing Slammin Saturday tonight and a lot to cover in this episode. Going to be talking about Jimmy Jacobs. I'm going to be talking about some WWE stars planning to ask for their releases. Huge news regarding the Survivor Series main event. Kevin Owens being critical of the Universal title run and AJ Styles feud. Kurt Angle commenting on a women's Elimination Chamber match. Austin Aries and Joey Ryan talking about making more money outside of the WWE. Jinder Mahal teasing surpassing CM Punk's title reign. Alberto El Patron returning to TNA or GFW, whatever you want to really call it. And some more tensions between the Bullet Club and the WWE. So before I go ahead and start with the news, if you have a wrestling related question, thoughts, comments, or concerns, leave them down there and I will answer them as soon as all the news is done. So once again, you have a wrestling related question, comment down below. And I will answer your question as soon as I'm done giving this great pro wrestling news. So first off, let's talk about Neville. There's a lot of stuff going on with Neville right now. For the past couple of days, Neville and the WWE hasn't really been seeing eye to eye. At first, it was reported that Neville was at the Monday Night Raw show, was not... Really, he just walked out of the show before the show even started. And that was because apparently at that time, when the news broke, he was supposed to be the one facing Enzo Amore. You got to bear with me, I'm a little bit sleep deprived. He was supposed to face Enzo Amore in the Lumberjack match, and he was supposed to lose to Enzo. And pretty much we found out all that was untrue. According to Mike Johnson of PWIinsider.com, he is now claiming that previous reports about Neville walking out prior to Raw are incorrect and that he was never in the building on Monday. Neville was apparently expected to be at Raw to face Enzo Amore in the Lumberjack match, but when he didn't show up backstage, the decision was made to have Kalisto face Enzo instead. So apparently he was never even in the building on Monday for Raw. The current belief is that Neville wants to be released and work on establishing his name on the indies like Drew McIntyre did. Neville reportedly has several issues with the company, including his t-shirt design. In addition to that, Neville was upset like Austin Aries about their match being left off the North America WrestleMania DVD because that resulted in less royalties. Speaking of Austin Aries, by the way, Aries posted the following cryptic tweet on Twitter, which some fans are believing is a reference to himself and Neville given the timing, by saying, "Know when to walk away from anyone or anything that doesn't value you. Self-worth is never determined by others. Hashtag Thursday Thoughts." So, honestly, my opinion on this with Neville, I would really hate to see, Neville go from the WWE. He's done so much in this company, and really, honestly, he deserves a lot more, than just the cruiserweight division. He really does deserve to be a mid-card main eventer. He really does deserve that. And, in NXT... he was NXT champion for so long. And one of the longest reigning NXT champions until Balor broke that record. He was the longest reigning, I think. And, went to the main roster, wasn't really treated all that great. Then he got the Cruiserweight Championship, had a great run with that Cruiserweight title. And it's just like, after Enzo won it, that's when things really started turning sour. If I was Neville, honestly, if I was being treated that way, if the t-shirt design that I wanted was not exactly what I had in mind, and my match was left off of the DVD, especially WrestleMania, yeah, I would probably leave the WWE and go to the Indies, go to another company. And really for Neville, if he was to go on the Indies, I don't really think it would take him long to really establish his name. You know, for Drew McIntyre, it really didn't take Drew a long time to establish his name. And I don't think it would take Neville a long time. Neville's a very talented guy. You know, and I think if he was to come back to the WWE after establishing his name on the Indies, yeah, then I think really that he would get like a big push, because that's what they done to Drew. But it's just really a shame that he's being treated that way. Austin Aries was treated that way. I was able to watch Neville and Austin Aries wrestle back in May in Pikeville at the Expo Center when the WWE done their live event over there, and I felt as though Neville and Austin Aries' match that night in Pikeville was the best match on the card. So to have their match, you know, left out on the WrestleMania DVD in North America, I just think that's an injustice towards those two guys, especially Neville being a part of the company. So hopefully, you know, I really hope things do get better for Neville. You know, there is a lot of guys, it's not only Neville, there are a lot of guys who have their pre-show matches taken off of the DVD, and they don't get money from that. You know, if they did have them included in the DVDs, they would get a royalty for that. And sadly, they're not getting a royalty for that, and that's really a big problem. The WWE really does need to do that. They need to pay them. And in this light of Neville wanting to leave and asking for his release, according to the Voices of Wrestling podcast, there are other WWE stars that are looking to get releases from the company in addition to Neville. The wrestlers are reportedly asking Cody Rhodes for advice, and here is an expert from the podcast, courtesy of WrestlingNews.co. Cody doesn't have any plans on going to the WWE anytime soon. There's wrestlers in WWE going to him and getting advice on their own exit plans from the company. I know this for a fact. I can't give you names. I know that's a bit of a tease, but I can't say the names, but there's wrestlers that go to him for advice on how to leave the company. Regarding Neville's frustrations with the WWE, it's possible that royalties from WWE 2K18 could also be a factor. The Voices of Wrestling podcast also said, from what we are told, the 205 Live talent that made their way onto the 2K video game this year are not getting a piece of the sales like everybody else. They're getting a flat fee. Why? I don't know. Now, of course, what that is, 205 Live, if you don't know what 205 Live is, that is the Cruiserweight division. That's basically their show that they have on the network. And, you know, if this is true about the 205 Live talent, not getting a piece of the sales, not getting the same royalties that any other wrestler gets in the video game, yes, that's a big injustice. Everybody that is included in these video games gets a huge check, and I believe everybody that gets included in these games should get a huge check equally. You know, I don't think that just because John Cena's in a game that he gets more money than someone like Kurt Hawkins. I think it all needs to be equal. And going and, oh, well, we're just not even going to really give them a piece of the action just because they're the cruiserweights. You know, we're just going to pay them the flat fee. I think that's just really biased of WWE to go and do that. So, yeah, like I said, you know, can't really blame Neville for being angry. I can't really blame the WWE stars wanting to get released, you know, for getting angry like that. I would definitely leave and ask Cody for advice on how to get out as well. But it's just really a shame. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that they were basically getting gypped out of the royalty money for the video games, you know, because it's always been equal, you know, royalty checks for everyone involved. So that was a big shock to me. According to Dave Meltzer of WrestlingObserver.com, WWE is currently planning a Universal Champion Brock Lesnar versus WWE Champion Jinder Mahal main event match for the WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view. Meltzer notes that neither title is expected to be on the line in the match. In regards to no titles being on the line, Jinder Mahal is expected to be WWE Champion when the company goes to India in December. Mahal is currently scheduled to defend his title against Kevin Owens at the India event. Survivor Series takes place on Sunday, November 19th, 2017 in Houston, Texas. Man, oh man. You know, I really hope this isn't true, but you know, it's probably the truth. I really don't want to see Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal. I really don't think a lot of people want to see that. I think that's a horrible main event if they do decide to do that, because you know who's going to win. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to know Brock Lesnar is going to beat Jinder Mahal. But who knows? Who knows, really? I think the world would implode on itself if Jinder beat Brock clean. But, I mean, that's just the way they want to go. That's the way that the WWE wants to do their main event for Survivor Series, I guess. Like I said, I just really hope the plans change. They do change on a dime. And I just really hope that's not the main event. It's just ridiculous. Very ridiculous. Kevin Owens was recently on Edge and Christian's podcast, and here's some of the highlights courtesy of Reddit user WrestlingFan666. Owens thought being the Universal Champion would be the pinnacle of his WWE run, but said it didn't turn out the way he wanted it to be, and it didn't make him feel like a top guy. Now, I can understand that, because to me, I'm still having a hard time adjusting to the Universal Championship. I know that it's the main title for Raw, but to me, it doesn't really feel like the main title. You know, yeah, I really don't like the design of the Universal Championship. I never have. I really don't think it has any prestige. All it is just a red copy of the WWE Championship. And, you know, I mean, they're trying to give it prestige with beating people like Finn Balor and Kevin Owens as the champion. But, you know, I mean, Kevin Owens saying it doesn't make him feel like a top guy. The belt just really, it doesn't really come off like the World Heavyweight title did, you know, so I can understand that, and I can really, you know, see why. It's just, I'm not really a big fan of the belt. I wish they would have just kept it WWE Championship and World Heavyweight title. You know, that's the way it should be. Owens also said his feud with Jericho helped him to get to that top guy level, but again, he felt like things got a little bit flat for him on SmackDown until Shane McMahon, you know, that whole feud with Shane appeared. And, in a way, yeah, I can agree with that. The Kevin Owens-Chris Jericho feud, even before it happened, when they had that bromance, I loved that. You know, I thought that was great. I thought that really that was one of the things I really enjoyed about the WWE. But, like, when he went to SmackDown after that feud with Jericho, it got real flat for him, you know, that's true. You know, he didn't really have a lot going on, and then when the Shane McMahon thing happened, yeah, things definitely picked up for him again. Owens also admitted that he doesn't enjoy the series of matches with AJ Styles. He said, I wasn't putting out my best stuff in that feud. I did enjoy his matches with AJ Styles. I thought they were really great. Kind of shocked me, you know, that he didn't really have that opinion. He felt like he wasn't putting out his best stuff. I felt like he put out one of his best matches with Roman Reigns a couple of months ago. I think that was at Extreme Rules. That was a great match. It was either Extreme Rules or maybe Roman Reigns facing AJ Styles was at Extreme Rules. It was somewhere around like April or May, but that was a great match that they had. But I felt like his stuff with AJ was good too. Owens said his body is really sore after his match with Shane at Hell in a Cell, and his angle with Vince McMahon and feud with Shane McMahon made him look like a top guy. He said this feud took him to a new level. I agree. This feud really did take him to a new level. Kevin Owens is now one of the top stars of SmackDown, if not the top, next to Jinder Mahal. And that's the reason why I think he's getting that match with Jinder at the December tour in India, for the WWE Championship. It really has made him look like a top guy. He defeated Shane McMahon. He stuck it to the McMahons, the people who own the company. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely been a top guy. To me, I've always felt like he's been a top guy ever since he came to the WWE through NXT. He's always been a big draw, no doubt. Owens credits Dusty Rhodes a lot, especially for his promos not sounding generic. He said his short time with him is invaluable, and he also said that Dean Ambrose had the best Dusty Rhodes impression. Owens credits his wife for supporting him and believing in him so that he can be a top guy in the WWE. There were lots of people who said to Kevin that because of the way that you look, you aren't going to make it to the WWE, but Kevin's wife was always behind him when things were really bad for him. And that's true. There were a lot of people who put Kevin Owens down and felt like Kevin Owens would never be a top guy in the WWE. I remember listening to a Jim Cornette podcast where Jim Cornette said that Kevin Owens was always going to be on the independent scene. This was back when he was Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor. He always said that Kevin was made to wrestle in high school gyms and bingo halls and not the WWE. And then he made it to the WWE. He became NXT champion. He became Universal champion. And then once he became Universal champion, Jim Cornette's like, oh, well, I'm wrong, but I still don't think he's a great wrestler, which I have to disagree with Jim on that. Kevin Owens has always been a great wrestler. And I've always felt like Kevin Owens was always WWE level. I always felt like he was made for the main event. Not I don't understand the heat because of the way that he's built that he can't be a main eventer. So Raw General Manager Kurt Angle recently participated in a question and answer on Facebook. Here's some of the highlights of that. When asked why haven't we seen an all women's elimination chamber match for the Raw Women's Championship, Kurt Angle said, "Patience, you will." I think that is going to happen here soon. I think you will see that Raw Women's Elimination Chamber match. They've already had the first ever Women's Hell in a Cell match back a while back, Sasha Banks and Charlotte. So I think you will see an Elimination Chamber match for the Raw Women's title. I think it would be a pretty good match. I think it would be pretty, great, and could be, a really fun match for everyone involved. They also said, Kurt, do you think Cesaro will eventually get his well-deserved main event push? That one goes out to Nathaniel Combs. Kurt Angle said, yes, Cesaro deserves it, but I love him and Sheamus tagging together. Give it some time. I think the main event push for Cesaro has been, it's been long overdue. He's deserved a main event push for the past 5 or 6 years. So I think it is going to happen. Give it time. He is going to be in the main event. And I would love to see him as either the Universal Champion or WWE Champion. And love to see him hold that belt for a long, long time. They also asked Kurt Angle, what is your opinion on Sanity? Would you like to have them on Monday Night Raw? Angle said, of course. They're a great stable with a promising future. Love these guys. When asked, what's the craziest thing you did in your childhood? Kurt Angle said, started amateur wrestling. It's like asking to be abused every day. Toughest sport I've ever participated in. It was a love-hate relationship. Also asked, hey Kurt, just wanted to know your opinion on being in 2K18. Are you excited? Angle said, it's an honor and a long time coming. It really is a dream come true. As a kid, we all want to be an action figure or in a video game. My dream has been played out in 2K18. When asked any plans for a new book, Kurt Angle said, yes, I'm letting my present life play out a bit before I release another book. Lots to tell. We all have our stories. When also asked, what was your fondest house show memory the first time you started working for the WWE? Angle said, not my fondest, but most memorable. Big Show decided to prank me and stuck his giant finger in my backside during a battle royal. horrible. Not funny at the time, funny now. And that's not a pleasant image to play out in your head. That's pretty gross. What a rib by Big Show. Who was the biggest nightmare for you? Steve Austin, John Cena, or The Rock? Angle said they were all incredible, intense, but Austin had another gear in overdrive. He was an animal in the ring. Great stuff by Kurt Angle. I can't wait to play as him in WWE 2K18. I can't wait to make all those angles like Burt Wrangle and Bart Rungle and Dirt Dangle and people like that. That's going to be great. Austin Aries, speaking of Austin Aries again, he noted on Twitter that he'll be making more money in 6 weeks on the Indies than his last 4 months in the WWE. He tweeted out, upcoming 6 weeks of Bingo Hall money is greater than the last 4 months of Big League money. Awesome to see the pro wrestling scene thriving around the world. Also, Indie star Joey Ryan also commented on how much money he's making when asked about a possible WWE run during an interview with Sports Illustrated. He said, right now, I know I'm making above average WWE money, and I'm making my own rules and setting my own schedule. That's if they were to approach me. If they don't approach, then that's okay too. So, I mean, that's pretty wild. I'd say, honestly, yeah, you get, a lot more pay independently if you're a really big name, that was in a big company like WWE or TNA. I think you will make a lot more money on the Indies than you would that company, because that company, gives you a certain salary, and you could get paid like really, really bad. You can make it to WWE or TNA, GFW, whatever they call themselves, New Japan, but really WWE, the big league, you could get signed as like a low mid-carder and not really make a lot of money, the money that you deserve to be making. And, that's really unfair, and they feel as though it's unfair. When you go out on the indie scene, you can definitely make a lot more than what your salary was in the WWE. So, that's not really a big surprise, but I really love that Austin and Joey are making more money than what they would in the WWE. Also, this is going to piss a lot of people off. They're not really going to like what I'm about to say right here, but according to what has been said, this is apparently supposed to happen, but it's just a tease. Nothing really to get all worked up about. In an interview with SportsKedia.com, Jinder Mahal teased a surpassing CM Punk's 434 WWE Day title reign by saying, I absolutely think I can. Why not? I believe I haven't even entered my prime yet. So I'm 31 years old. I'm already WWE champion for 140-something days at the moment. I've got a lengthy title run ahead of me and many more title runs yet to come. Jinder Mahal also commented on possible WrestleMania opponents by saying, Brock Lesnar, that would be amazing. Or someone like John Cena. Even though Cena is such a big star here in India, it would be a blockbuster match, especially if I beat someone like John Cena. I would really establish my own legacy, which is my #1 goal. Now, the rumor going around about Jinder Mahal is that Jinder Mahal is supposed to keep the title until WrestleMania. That's what's been said for a while. That's what's been going on for a long time. And honestly, let's see. I think he won the WWE Championship back in August. I think that's when Jinder won it. Was back in August, and it was either August or September. So I'm pretty sure August. So let's see. August, you got September, October, November, December, January, February, March. WrestleMania is going to be around April, so that's about a 7 or 8 month title reign if they decide to keep the belt on them the rest of this year going into WrestleMania. That's a 7 to 8 month title reign. That's about 200 days. That's about half of CM Punk's title reign. I don't really think that this current title reign is going to surpass CM Punk's. I think he'll just keep it till WrestleMania, lose it at WrestleMania. I think that's what's going to happen. I would not be surprised if he was to surpass CM Punk's title reign. We seen this happen when AJ Lee left the company, and they had Nikki Bella outlast her reign as Divas Champion. You know, before AJ Lee left the company, she was the longest reigning Divas Champion. Then when she had her fallout after CM Punk left, and she decided to leave, they made Nikki Bella the longest reigning. So I would not be surprised if they did do that. But if he, you know, from when he won it in August to WrestleMania, that's 7 to 8 months. That's about 200 and something days. That's half of CM Punk's 434-day reign. I don't really think that they're going to make Jinder Mahal the longest reigning of the modern era. But it would really go good with that modern day Maharaja character. So you just never say never. You really don't know about that. They could. You know, like I said, they made Nikki Bella longest reigning Divas Champion after AJ Lee left. So, April. He won it in April. Okay, thank you, Nathaniel. Let's see. That would be about, yeah, that'd be about a year. That'd be 1 year. So that would be, if I'm right, CM Punk's reign wasn't really exactly, it was like a year and maybe a month or two. So it still wouldn't even, I don't even think it would even still come close to CM Punk's 434-day reign. But yeah, it would be about a year if he kept it from April to WrestleMania, but it still wouldn't be enough to beat out CM Punk's 434-day reign. So, getting into the Bullet Club, I want to talk about this. Last thing I want to talk about tonight, news-wise. You know, for a while there has been a lot of crazy stuff going on with the Bullet Club and the WWE. You know, you had Cody getting into it with the WWE. You had this invasion. You got Jimmy Jacobs and being released by the WWE. For those of you who don't know, Jimmy Jacobs was a writer backstage, a producer for the WWE. You know, great guy. Came up with the List of Jericho idea for Chris Jericho. And he got released by the company because he took a photo with the Bullet Club outside the arena, you know, because he's friends with the Bullet Club, and he posted on his Instagram. And some officials in the WWE seen that picture on his Instagram and decided to give him a lot of heat for that, and then he got released. So, you know, he went and he took that photo and put it on a t-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees, and you know, not only Jimmy Jacobs being released, but the Bullet Club got hit with the cease and desist letter and all this. It's just been a really crazy time in pro wrestling. The Bullet Club also cut a promo regarding the WWE on October the 12th at the ROH event in Buffalo, New York. The group vented about WWE's cease and desist letter over the too sweet hand gesture. The Raw invasion and Jimmy Jacobs leaving WWE was also referenced. Matt Jackson said the following during the promo: "We staged a now infamous invasion. I want to say how much I love Ring of Honor, and I'm just not saying that. I love this place for a certain reason. I can do whatever the hell I want and not going to get a damn cease and desist letter. I have the benefit of taking a damn selfie with whoever the hell I want. But most importantly, I love this company more than any other company in the world because of all you fans. I mean that." I think that's really a straight from the heart promo from Matt, you know. But there's been a lot of pandemonium with this whole Bullet Club WWE thing. You know, really, Matt and Nick has jabbed with WWE a couple times before Cody came on. But really, a lot of this came when Cody started coming into the Bullet Club. And I'm not blaming Cody. You know, I'm just saying this is where it really just started. You know, this is where it started to pick up, this stuff with the Bullet Club and WWE. You know, long before Cody really came to the Bullet Club, you know, when he was Stardust in the WWE, before, whenever he was getting ready to leave the WWE, I remember on Twitter he wrote this huge paragraph just talking about how unfairly he was being treated by WWE. You know, I mean, it was a bunch of stuff. You know, they wasn't paying him the money that he was supposed to be paid. They wasn't really treating him great. He asked to do more, you know, with his father. You know, they really denied that. He wanted more creative control over his character, wouldn't give it to him. They also told him that he would get more opportunities in his run as Stardust, and they never really gave it to him. They promised it to him, but they never gave it to him. And you know, honestly, after that, he asked for his release. He wrote this big paragraph about what was going on with, you know, his career in WWE as Stardust. And shortly after that, he started doing some stuff on the independent scene. And the thing about it is, a lot of WWE fans look at Cody Rhodes and they say, "Oh well, you know, Cody was an average wrestler in the WWE." To me, I didn't really feel that way. Any gimmick that was given to Cody from creative, he done an amazing job. Whether it be, you know, dashing Cody Rhodes, you know, really Cody Rhodes with Hardcore Holly, you know, his great beginning. Dashing Cody Rhodes, you know, whenever he had the mask and he was disfigured. Stardust, you know, also when he had the mustache, you know, I mean, every single gimmick that has been given to Cody, he has just outshined it. He has just done a great job with it. And he's always been a great in-ring wrestler, along with just doing a great job with gimmicks. You know, whenever he went to the independent scene, that's when a lot more, I felt as though a lot more people started really seeing his in-ring talent. He done this great cage match with Kurt Angle on the independent scene. I mean, that was an awesome match. And after a while, you know, he decided to join the Bullet Club. He joined the Bullet Club, and shortly after joining the Bullet Club, that's when, you know, these tensions with the Bullet Club and WWE started picking up. There was, I believe it was Jim Cornette that went and said that the Revival was the best tag team in the world, and there was a lot of people saying that the Revival was better than the Young Bucks. So Cody Rhodes, along with the Young Bucks. And before I say this, I also want to say another thing that Cody Rhodes has heat with the WWE with is they would not allow him to use the Rhodes name for his character on the independent circuit. And that's one of the main reasons why he really doesn't have nothing to do with the WWE, and I feel as though he won't have nothing to do with the WWE for a long time. I think that's really horrible of the WWE to do that to him. He does deserve to use the Rhodes name, you know, on the independent scene. I think any of Dusty's children deserves to use the Rhodes name on the independent scene, whether the WWE owns it or not. You know, Cody should use that. He should have that. He deserves that. You know, and that going into the Bullet Club, that's when, you know, he wanted to really get back. They wanted to really get back. And that's when things started getting really crazy. You had this thing with the Revival. Jim Cornette going and saying that the Revival was the best tag team in the world. A lot of people saying the Revival was better than the Young Bucks. So that's when Cody and the Young Bucks decided to start this "fuck the Revival" hashtag, and started saying that in the Being the Elite videos. And shortly after saying it a lot, you know, the Revival decided to make a video of their own. It was on WWE Instagram. It was on Snapchat, where they held up a sign that said "Forever the Revival." So, you know, the Bullet Club continues saying that. And then the WWE went and filed a lawsuit on them for saying that. And then they shortened it to FTR. And then, you know, WWE's like, no, you can't do that either. And then it just started getting really out of hand after that. You know, Cody was world champion, and he started doing these promos saying, "I'm steroid free," which was a shot at like Jinder Mahal. You know, everybody saying he's on steroids and stuff. And then, you know, you also had this recent thing going on with the too sweet hand gesture, which is, of course, this. this hand gesture has been around for like a long time. It's most notably well known with the factions, the Clique and the NWO. You know, the Clique and NWO has used it a lot whenever, 20 years ago in their peak. And so, for as long as I've known, the Young Bucks for years has been doing the Too Sweet hand gesture. And, a lot of the people in the Bullet Club has been doing that. Really, ever since the Bullet Club was formed a couple years ago when Finn Balor created it. And just recently, the WWE sent the Young Bucks a cease and desist letter saying that they cannot use the Too Sweet hand gesture. And, the thing is, and I said this 2 weeks ago, it's understandable, that the WWE owns WCW and the NWO and the Clique and all that stuff. But it just really blows my mind that they owned a hand gesture. That's just really crazy. I just think that's ridiculous, honestly. In my opinion, I think it's really ridiculous that the WWE owns a hand gesture. Because I've seen a lot of guys in the independent scene, in TNA. I mean, I've seen it a lot. I've seen that hand gesture used a lot. Where in the hell is their cease and desist letter at? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's just crazy. And then after that, you had their invasion, outside of the arena in California, where they had a megaphone and stuff. Cody was doing an Independence Day speech. It was really great stuff. I really take this stuff with the Bullet Club and the WWE the same exact way that I take D-Generation X and WCW. That's exactly what it reminds me of. It's like Bullet Club's DX, WWE's WCW. That's really what this stuff reminds me of. But I feel as though, in a way, that all this stuff happening with the WWE and the Bullet Club, I feel as though, in a way, it's creating a divide with some pro wrestling fans. Now, for the majority, you still have a lot of pro wrestling fans that watch all the promotions and love all the promotions. They love WWE, they love New Japan, they love Ring of Honor, they love Progress, they love Shine, they love ICW, you still have a lot of people that watch all the promotions and love the wrestlers. Hell, even What Culture Pro Wrestling. So, but you got this new trend. And, it's been around for a while. It's not really nothing new. But I believe this is starting to pick up. Where you have just pure WWE fans and pure New Japan Ring of Honor fans. You have the WWE fans who just watch the WWE and nothing else, And then you got the New Japan Ring of Honor fans who just watch New Japan Ring of Honor, nothing else. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. There's wrestling fans that, different strokes for different folks. They like what they want to watch. And, if you're a pure fan, that's okay. But it's creating like a divide because, in a way, because like the WWE fans, they're these pure fans, not all of them, but some of them, will go and say, oh, well, New Japan Ring of Honor, or any other independent promotion doesn't put on a good wrestling match. WWE is the only one that puts on good wrestling matches. And then you got these Ring of Honor, you got the Ring of Honor New Japan pures who think that WWE never puts on a good match. And I just think that's really wrong, New Japan and Ring of Honor put on some really awesome matches. In my opinion, I feel as though New Japan has the best in-ring wrestling of any pro wrestling company right now. Their in-ring wrestling is incredible. I don't think nobody can compete with that. But to go and say that the WWE never has any great matches, never puts on any good matches, I got to disagree with that. I've seen these tag matches, the past two pay-per-views have been incredible. The Kevin Owens Roman Reigns match was incredible. The Roman Reigns AJ Styles match was incredible. The John Cena AJ Styles feud was awesome. And in New Japan, you know, all the stuff with Suzuki has been incredible. Kenny Omega and Okada, instant classic. There ain't no doubt about that. You know, all the stuff that Naito done in oh God, what's it called? Where they have two blocks. Kenny Omega was the first North American or the first foreigner to really win it. God, it's on the tip of my tongue. I really can't believe I forgot this. Someone help me out. But whoever wins it, you know, they get that briefcase, like the Money in the Bank briefcase. Man, I really cannot believe I forgot that. But, you know, you had all that stuff happening with Naito this year. Los Ingobernables de Japan, you know, just absolutely dominating. You know, in Ring of Honor, you know, with Cody being the ROH World Champion. First time in 30 years that a Rhodes has been World Champion. Something that Cody has definitely deserved. Honestly, I feel as though that... no, it's not the Super J Cup. Super J Cup is Super Juniors. That's like Will Ospreay and stuff. I'm talking about... it's what Kenny Omega won last year. Man, I really cannot believe I'm spacing out on this. But no, it's where they have two blocks, A block and B block. You know, and they have one guy who wins the A block go up against the guy who won the B block. Damn it, I really cannot believe I forgot that. I feel like an idiot for not knowing that, for just forgetting that. But I know Naito won it. And, you know, you got Naito. No, it wasn't, I don't think it was Naito. I know Naito's going to face Okada for the IWGP World title at Wrestle Kingdom 12 next year. And that's going to be an incredible match. But, you know, I mean, Ring of Honor is doing a lot of great stuff with the Bullet Club. You got this stuff going on with the Briscoe brothers and Bully Ray. You know, it's really a great time to be a pro wrestling fan. And, you know, I just really, I think with the Bullet Club and the WWE getting into it, it's causing that divide. That I think we're going to start seeing a lot more fans who's going to be like, oh, well, the WWE only, the WWE is the only great wrestling promotion in the world, and Ring of Honor and New Japan aren't. You know, G1 is the name of that. That's what it is. The G1 and the G1 Climax. That's what it was. That is what it was. That's what Kenny Omega was in. You got the New Japan G1, which is incredible. That's it. Finally remembered it. But, yeah, you know, like I was saying, the Bullet Club and, you know, this stuff between the Bullet Club and the WWE, I think you're going to see a lot more, you know, divide between fans if this continues. All of this intense stuff happening. I'm seeing it grow already. And, you know, I think you'll see a lot more fans of WWE who's going to be like, oh, well, my company is a lot better than your company. And then you're going to see, you know, the New Japan Ring of Honor fans say, oh, well, mine's better than yours. I haven't really seen something like that since WCW, WWE. I would say TNA. But the thing about it is, TNA was a great pro wrestling company back in the day. And I really enjoyed watching them. But after Genesis 2010, that was it for me. You know, I mean, after that, it really just fell downhill. And it just never really has fully recovered from that. But back in like 2007, 2008, TNA was doing amazing. And they tried to compete with the WWE, taking Impact, putting it on Monday night. They couldn't really do it. They just couldn't do it, you know. I mean, the thing about it is, I don't really think that the Bullet Club and the WWE, you know, going, you know, head to head with all this verbal stuff, and just all this tension is going to cause a New Japan WWE, you know, feud or, you know, anything like that. I think the only way that the WWE is actually going to go to competition with New Japan is if New Japan continues to expand into the United States, and they are doing that. You know, they are trying to expand. If they do like a full expansion in the United States and they pick up on a primetime television network like Spike TV or USA, really USA, and a lot of people start watching it and it gets a really high ratings, I think that's when the WWE is going to try to compete with New Japan. But until then, I don't think it's going to happen. And as bad as I hate to say it, I think, yeah, WWE would beat New Japan just because of how much money the WWE has. They might be going through budget cuts and, you know, having a hard time gaining revenue, but they still have a lot more money than any other wrestling promotion at the end of the day. But, you know, like I said, you still have a lot of wrestling fans who watches all the pro wrestling promotions, and they do a great job keeping up with it. But I think you will start to see a rise of divide. You know, WWE fans saying that New Japan never puts on good matches, Ring of Honor never puts on good matches, and Ring of Honor New Japan fans saying WWE doesn't put on good matches. And that's not what we need. It's okay to be a pure fan, or, you know, a mark or a smark or whatever the hell they call it, or, you know, just a fan of all the promotions, you know, but I just really would hate to see fans, you know, getting into it and saying, oh, well, you know, you're terrible, you're stupid if you don't watch New Japan, you know, or something like that. We don't need that. We don't need that, you know. But I'm just really worried that that's going to happen. I think you might see that happening, sadly. So that's really my thoughts on all that. I still love the Bullet Club. I think the Young Bucks is the best tag team in the world. I love everybody in it. I think they're the most talented guys out there. But just all this tension, I think it's really just going to start to see more divide between wrestling fans. I think I overlooked this about TNA. Speaking of them, I don't think I announced this, but I guess I'll go ahead and do it. I'll save this for last. TNA announced on this week's Impact Wrestling that Alberto El Patron, Alberto Del Rio, will be returning to the company at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. The following announcement was also made today. Impact Wrestling channel launches for free on Pluto TV. Impact Wrestling, a subsidiary of Anthem Sports and Entertainment, announced today that it will be launching the Impact Wrestling channel on Pluto TV, the leading free market and free internet television service in America, available on the Pluto TV app by tuning to channel 204. The Impact Wrestling channel gives fans instant 24-hour access to shows and series from the extensive Impact Wrestling catalog. Programming for the channel will include the flagship Impact show, which features top professional wrestling stars including world champion Eli Drake, Bobby Lashley, the high-flying X Division, the lovely and lethal Knockouts, and talent from international partner promotions such as Johnny Impact, Naomichi Marufuji, and El Hijo del Fantasma. The Impact Wrestling channel will also run the original weekly show Explosion. I can't believe they're still doing Explosion. Pay-per-view events on a second window, plus over 1,000 hours of original programming showcasing classic content featuring household industry names like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Sting, Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, Jeff Jarrett, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, and many more. Digital growth has always been a top priority in our global expansion strategy, said Ed Nordholm, president of Impact Wrestling. With our launch on Pluto TV, Impact Wrestling fans can now access our live feed 24/7 on the Impact Wrestling channel, bringing them more content and exclusive coverage of their favorite professional wrestling stars from past and present. We are proud to partner with Impact Wrestling to bring world-class professional wrestling programming to fans for free, said Tom Ryan, CEO of Pluto TV. This partnership further establishes Pluto TV as the premier destination for passionate wrestling fans nationwide. Explosion will premiere Friday, September 29th at 8 p.m. Okay, that's already going on. So it runs Fridays at 8 p.m. The show features exclusive original matches, recaps from the latest episodes of Impact, classic matches from the past, and exclusive interviews with Impact Wrestling personalities. The 24-hour live stream of the Impact Wrestling channel can be accessed at www.impactwrestling.com and www.pluto.tv. The Pluto TV app is available via web at www.pluto.tv or on any mobile tablet or connected living room device, such as Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, PlayStation or Xbox, as well as most smart TVs, including Samsung, VZO, Sony, and Hennessy. So there you go. TNA. They got the TNA network now. Got the big bad TNA Impact Network. So you can go back and you can watch that magic moment when Jay Lethal and Ric Flair had their woo-off. You can also go back and watch as every single wrestler went through the hole in the ring, including Ric Flair, whose fall into the hole was the best. So, what a time to be alive. TNA Network. Go to Pluto TV and check that out. That should be great. But that's all the news that I got. Let's go ahead and take these wrestling-related questions, comments, and concerns. See what we got here. Sean Wooten. Main man Sean. Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar. Who you got and why? Honestly, I feel like Brock Lesnar would win. And the reason why I think Brock would win, I just don't see I don't see Brock Lesnar being okay with Jinder being put over top of him. With Brock Lesnar being the top guy next to Roman Reigns and getting a lot of money for being a part-timer and a Universal Champion, the longest reigning Universal Champion now. I just really don't think that he would be okay with Jinder beating him. So that's who I got in that. Let's see. Sean, hashtag believe in Jinder. I like Jinder. I do like Jinder. I'm not trying to hinder the Jinder here. I like Jinder. But I just don't want to see that CM Punk title reign get broken. But I mean, it's probably going to happen more than likely. But I like Jinder, the modern day Maharaja. Sean also said, "How do you feel about Sister Abigail?" Kind of mixed on Sister Abigail. You know, Randy Orton burned her remains in that shed when he had that feud with Bray. But you know what? That's okay, you know, because they can still do this really great. I feel, honestly, it's going to be Rosie Lottalove. You remember her from TNA? Rosie Lottalove is apparently going to play Sister Abigail. And I would definitely be down for it. I think it's a really cool idea. I think they're kind of late on the idea. I really would have loved to seen them do the Sister Abigail thing years ago when the Wyatt family was around. But, you know, better late than never. It's still going to be great. And I really can't wait to enjoy it. You know, I'll just have to wait and see how Rosie Lottalove does on TV. You know, hopefully everything goes good. Let's see. Nathaniel Combs, Nate Dogg, have you heard they are planning to have a women's Royal Rumble match in January? I have not heard that. That's new news to me. I really did not know that that's apparently in the talks. But a couple of moments ago, I did learn that they're thinking about doing a women's not a Royal Rumble, but a women's Elimination Chamber match. That might be happening. But haven't heard about a women's Royal Rumble match. So let's see what else we got. Sean Wooten. Slammin Saturday Night's about to get a season to see. Oh well. Oh well. I guess I'll have to be a part of the Bullet Club. Get them to help me out on that. Yeah, yeah, it does. It does belong to Turkish Mafia. X-Pac actually started doing it first, and then they started going along with it. Um, and I think honestly that's all the that's all the wrestling related questions that I got on here. So let's get some shout outs out right now. Jack Cottle, Dustin Craig Brewer, Helen Brunty, Terry Wolf, Sean Wooten, Eric Whitaker, Mike Sweet, Jacob Tucker, George Baker, Joseph Engel, Craig Fraley, Nathaniel Combs, Toby Fugit, Frank Newberry, Alexis Shea Noble, Yoshi Sexton, Murray Adams, Danielle Engel, Shayna Campbell, Katie Hudson, Jody Fugit, Dave Shadless, Trey Oakes, Derek George Campbell, Devin Bacon, Amber Shane Haddon, and Twinsen R. Benton. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys tuning in to this week's edition of Slammin Saturday Night. Can't wait to do another edition next Saturday. So this is pretty much the show. Be sure to give me a like down below. Subscribe to me for more great episodes of Slammin Saturday Night. More great pro wrestling opinion content on my YouTube channel right here, Stewie Family. But I will see you next Saturday. This is Stewie Family saying thanks, goodbye, and I'll see you again.